There is a lot more to grid-free living than just solar. So we're out visiting other great suppliers in the GridFree community to find out about their offerings. Today, we're here with Marco and Tess and their awesome company, Crafty Gatherers.
Hi, I'm Tess.
And I'm Marco.
And we live up in the Papamau Hills. We've been here for 10 years on this land and we run a small family business called Crafty Gatherer. Marco's a builder by trade and I worked a lot in public relations. Then we did the whole let's go overseas and learn about ourselves. As we were there, we did a lot of woofing and discovered a lot of different ways of living and found what we really, really loved, how people lived and also how we really didn't want to live. And when we came back, we had a baby, we went and lived in a little commune and learnt a lot. We wanted to find a piece of land. When we did that, Marco always loves creating and making things. Whatever we needed on the land, he would make. And we thought other people probably would really love these products too. The company mission of Crafty Gatherer is to connect people back to traditional ways of living, which typically have a lot less impact. From the idea right through to the product made, there's a lot of intention in what we've decided to create and make, and the fact that it's New Zealand made and handcrafted. You know, when people buy a product from Crafty Gatherer, they're really buying something that's been well thought out, well researched, and
Supports Kiwi made.
Yeah, supports a little family business. And we just think that they're products that people really would benefit from. You know, there's something that you could pass on to your grandkids, you know.
Our biggest seller is probably our garden fork.
Forkster.
Yeah, it's called the Forkster. It's just a strong, robust fork.
And that's definitely our main product, and that is kind of unique to us. And it's a really great tool for the soil because it doesn't turn the soil over, it's just adding air into it. Then we also make seed raising trays, seed saving screens.
Compost toilets.
Yeah, biochar burners, little home gardener biochar burners.
Bread knives.
Pulley laundry racks. Just anything that kind of connects people back to their home and back to their garden in a more traditional, simple way, eh?
Most things we make, a few things we buy in from local artisanal people. So mainly we make it all in the workshop.
It's all New Zealand made, so we have other, like we've got a local leatherman, we've got some local contractors with steel, woodworkers that make other New Zealand made products. The products are slowly made, right? Like we make them in small batches, handmade. The materials come in locally. We make them like your product is probably touched like 10 or 15 times in the process, you know. Our main clients are off-grid, I would say, or have that mindset of living off-grid and not relying on power companies or other big corporations. They want to do it themselves. They want to live more traditionally, and being off-grid is a huge one of that.
The favourite part in the work we do is probably the flexibility. We can pick our own hours. I can work in the workshop till late at night. I mean, we're a family, so family comes first, and then yeah, I can play in the workshop whenever I want.
And the business really aligns with our values as well, so that always feels really good.
Yeah.
So this is the Crafty Gatherers workshop where all the products are made, eh?
Yeah, this is where I hide away.
So you're obviously a handy guy. What's your background?
I'm a builder by trade and I love using my hands. I've just always been creative. I remember working in my dad's shed and making all sorts of things and doing up furniture with him.
So what happened? Did you build something for yourself and then thought other people might want it?
So our first fork was the broad fork, which we followed someone else in France. They created that in the, I think, early 1900s, and that was for market gardening, aeration in the soil. And we thought not everyone wants a big double-handed broad fork or fork, and we created the Forkster. So we created this smaller design that looks after your body, easier to carry, strong and robust than most other forks, and that's how we came up with the Forkster.
And so you built it and welded it here in this workshop?
Yeah, we had a friend with us at the start and he helped me design it, and he's an engineer, and then we went from there. We used to make them out of recycled stuff, and now the demand came too big, so we now get them all laser cut and we weld them here on the workshop table. So off-grid living means to us is pretty much being responsible for yourselves. Being resilient.
Of yourself in all the senses.
Yeah.
Not relying on other systems, corporations.
Yeah.
Taking responsibility of your waste in all its senses. Taking responsibility of our kids. Taking responsibility of our health. Our well-being and the garden.
And
really.
coming with it is that freedom, the freedom you get from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard work. It's not like, oh yay, we're off grid and it's so easy. It's like it's off grid and it's rewarding. If anything happens, we know how to grow our own food. We can feed ourselves. We know how to look after our own waste. We know how to look after our health and our well-being. You know, if you can just take more responsibility for ourselves. I think that, resiliency for us is taking care of yourself and being responsible for yourself.
Usually the inspiration for our products come from, like, we see a need. Like, oh, what's going to make this better or this easier in the garden or home? And then we'll think about it and...
I'll be the test dummy.
Yeah, and we'll create something together
and tweaked and developed over the years. And I think that is the beauty of Crafty Gatherer. Because it's our family-run business, we can just let it evolve and go where it wants to go. Taking responsibility for our waste is a really important part of our lifestyle. With the compost toilet and the human manure, it's really important that you get the composting process right. You need to get the temperature up right to kill off the baddies, the bad bacteria. But naturally, compost also knows what to do. So if you leave it long enough, it turns back into beautiful soil. Sometimes that can take anywhere from 9 months in the warmer months to 18 months even. Good question about whether you can have it on food. We just don't. In other countries, that is their main compost. So they definitely do, you know, they use their human manure as compost for their veggies, but we just don't. Just a mind thing probably. We put it around our fruit trees and around our other trees and yeah.
So I guess this was a paddock when you started?
The whole place was a paddock pretty much when we started, eh?
Yeah, it was bare land back here.
And so this probably over the last 8 years, we've been developing this.
And so I noticed with the veggies, you've got little groups of veggies. What have we got growing here?
We've got elephant garlic, broccolis, we've got kale, cauliflowers, and then we've got bok choy, spring onions, carrots, cabbages, broad beans, beetroot, lettuce, red onion.
And I noticed they've got a little bit of a raised kind of hump where you plant. Does that just help it not get too wet, or what's the purpose in that?
Exactly that, but also it's just us building the soil over time. So adding compost, and then also we use our fork or our broad fork, and that helps to aerate the soil. So we're literally just putting the tines in and lifting them up a little bit, which adds air to the soil.
And so it just naturally creates that hump.
Yeah, but you're right, it definitely helps with the rain and stuff too, that the beds don't get bogged.
Yeah.
And then we also grow like cover crops. So we've got mustard here, which is a really great soil cleanser. We put between crops, especially heavy feeders, the likes of broccoli and potatoes and veggies that take up a lot of nutrients. So yeah, these are lupins. Lupins add nitrogen back into the soil. We're growing buckwheat here as well. So just a range of different cover crops in between the cycles to give the soil a rest. It's just another way kind of doing this, of resting the bed, putting it to bed for winter.
I think having your own garden really does help with the cost of living.
It's just that satisfaction of getting your hands in the soil, and even if you've only got a deck on an apartment, you can fill that deck with pots and you can grow a lot of food. In a pot you can grow a lot of lettuces, cut them back and they grow right back up, you know. Within a week you've got fresh new lettuce again, and even if it was just your lettuce that you weren't buying in, that is such a good feeling, and all helps out to know that I've got some greens. If nothing else, I've got some greens. We are just normal human beings doing our best. Our most important thing is to raise these 3 little humans with skills to be able to look after themselves, that they will then go off and share that with the world as well. So if we can get that right, we're stoked, and then if we can share it with other people as well, that's a bonus. But I think that's only kind of come in the last 3 years, is that, I mean, obviously our kids have always been our main focus, but to really be like, let's get them right. We, you know, like the business and the land is important, but
Kids first.
If that's all we do is raise 3 awesome humans, then we'd be pretty chuffed.
So do you have any tips for seasonal gardening?
Yeah, I mean, things grow a lot better in summer with the heat and the soil. Just growing the right crops in the right season, and then getting your winter crops in early enough. So right at sort of the end of summer, your winter crops should almost be in, so that they have enough time to grow.
Ah, right. So you need to plan ahead and have your seedlings ready to go, eh? You need to have that whole year planned ahead, so you plant at the right time.
So while I'm in winter, I'm planning for spring. While I'm in spring, I'm planning for summer, you know, like planning a season ahead.
Great advice.
Yeah. So Crafty Gatherer in the past has also run quite a few workshops, beginner garden workshops. We did our Cob Cottage workshop, which was great fun. We had like 25 people living up here for a couple of weeks building the Cob house. And we've done butchery workshops, how to butcher your own animal.
Pizza oven.
Pizza oven. All of those workshops were also collaborating with other local people and their skills as well. And that was about building community and sharing skills, helping to encourage people to get into it, you know, and sometimes all you need is a workshop to set you off and to see things in person.
And I noticed this down here. What's this?
That's biochar. So biochar is basically any carbon that's been burnt in an oxygen-starved environment.
Ah, right. And how's it good for the garden?
Yeah, it's pretty much a soil amendment or a fertiliser compost. It's like a home and it's got lots of surface area. So
Like a sponge.
a sponge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it holds a lot of nutrients for the soil.
Yeah.
And it's a great home for the microbes.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and also it's a pure form of carbon that we're being able to store back in the soil. So carbon released, we don't want. Carbon stored is what we do want.
Yeah. And I noticed you've got a device on your website actually that talks about this.
Yeah,
right?
we have a little biochar burner that goes inside most fireplaces,
Yeah.
and it's a nice way for people to get rid of their macadamia shells or bones and put it in the fire at the end of the night, and then in the morning you've got biochar.
And it lasts in the soil for like hundreds, if not thousands of years. So you're giving back to the next generation by making your own biochar.
And growing the soil.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And is this one of your devices here, is it?
Yeah, that's one of our forks. We do a few now.
So I'm keen to see how one of these forks does aerate the soil. Do you want to give us a demo?
Yeah, sure. So it's all about looking after your body while you're working, but it's about aeration. So just flicking it, we're not turning over the soil. We're just giving it a light flick, we're not bending our back over, it's just a nice even row.
So yeah, that's the ergonomics with it, is the handle is a bigger handle and you've got more space for your hands as well and the feet.
All right, give us a go. So down and in.
Yep,
And tilt back a bit.
that's it. And then you can just drag it back so you're not having to lift it out each time.
Oh,
that's it.
yeah, there
and
we
then
go.
not walking on the garden bed, Craig.
Oh yeah.
Really important.
Not much point in aerating it if I'm standing. I don't look anywhere near as good at you at this.
No.
I need a little bit more practice, I
You're
think.
doing great. Thank you for doing that part of the work. Perfect. She's ready to plant into.
Awesome.
The best advice we'd give to someone who's wanting to get into gardening is to just start small. Just start growing what you like to eat.
Don't be afraid of making mistakes too. Like just start.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I see so many people doing their research and which is good. It's good to research, but also just get your hands in the soil and feel it and have a play around, and it's okay if it fails. I mean, we still have crops that fail.
Yeah.
You know, like peas sometimes don't grow here and it really frustrates me, you know. You don't have to have all the tools to get started, you know, you just need a patch of land that you've lovingly tended, added some compost to. A lot of people try and go, I'll grow my own seeds and I'll do the garden, and then they build these big garden beds and all these weeds come up and the weeds take over and it's frustrating. But if you just start small, just buy a punnet of seedlings, just give yourself a bit of grace and compassion, put your seedlings in, see them grow, eat the food, and you'll feel really satisfied.
Observing though too, eh? Like always watching
What's going
how
on?
nature goes or what's growing or what the temperatures are. Why is that not growing?
You're right, observation is a really big part of it. If you just plant something and walk away and expect to come back in 10 weeks' time and that your food be there, that's not really how it works. It's a relationship. It's a relationship in the garden with yourself and the plants. So keeping an eye on them. Oh, there's a slug in there. Pick that off. There's a weed there. It's going to take over. And advice for self-sufficiency, again, is it's just thinking about being mindful. Like, what are the choices I'm making? I think
Living with nature, not living apart from nature, you're living with it.
being mindful, like, where's some areas that I can change? I'm not just going to go gun-ho and change everything in my life in one go, but where's one little change that I could do? And obviously growing a little bit of kai is a really great place to start. Sometimes people think I'm going to build a garden and they end up spending $1,000 and that's not accessible to everyone. For some people that's great, they can build beautiful raised garden beds and have their garden, but if you don't have that type of money and you just want to start a garden, there's some really simple ways that you can just start. You could just start with building your own soil by adding some cardboard on top of some grass to kill it off, and then just building your soil on top of that is a really simple, easy way to start a garden.
So yeah, this is our seed saving screen. So it's got stainless mesh with Lawson cypress timber, and they all interlock. So you'd put your seed into the biggest mesh screen, and then you'd shake it and clean it, and it's an efficient way to clean your seed that you're saving. And depending on the size of the seed will fall through and the rubbishy stuff will stick above in the top mesh. And so it's a real easy, efficient solution to save your seed.
We had the GridFree batch kit down at our cabin that we used as a glamping accommodation, and it was a really great little kit down there. So we live in a shipping container home currently, and our next project is the mud brick home, and we're going to be going off grid, so we're really excited to get back in contact with GridFree and see what kit they might recommend next for us.
And with that, still having that family time and work balance, and who knows, like the kids might get involved more with the Crafty Gatherer.
We've tried to pursue opportunities, and when they haven't worked, we're like, that's okay. And so now we're kind of at that point where we're like, if the opportunities flow in, then that's where it's meant to go. Yeah, and I think that comes with that observation too. You're observing the garden, we're also observing life, where it's going, where it's heading, where it wants to go, the different seasons. Like traditionally, people look to the seasons for all the ways of their life, you know, like, oh, the pūtaka was flowering, now's the time, you know, like it was, and the stars and the planets where they were, we used to be so much more connected in to those traditional ways. And yeah, that observation I think is really key in life. Yeah, not just in the garden. So we're an online business, and that's the best place to find us is at www.craftygatherer.co.nz.